Tonight's headlines: PDP Laban formally expels Senator Manny Pacquiao. Former Senator Bongbong Marcos to seek presidency. Coronavirus cases in the country at 2,613,070. President Duterte bans cabinet officials from attending Senate probe. All signals lifted as Lannie moves over West Philippine Sea. And secure supply amid tight global output, says Department of Energy. Good evening. Today is Tuesday, October 5, 2021. I am Elmer Navarro Manuel, and this is Tribune News on Q. Here are the stories for this evening. The PDP Laban, led by Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi, on Tuesday formally expelled Senator Manny Pacquiao from the party due to the latter's supposed disloyalty and other party rule violations. The notice of expulsion, dated October 4, was signed by PDP Laban Secretary General Melvin Matibag. Matibag said Pacquiao merited expulsion since the senator filed his certificate of candidacy for president in the 2022 elections under the PROMD party. To recall, the ruling party had nominated Senator Bongo as its 2022 presidential candidate, but Go turned it down. Instead, Go filed his candidacy for vice president in the next elections under the PDP Laban. Former Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. announced he is joining the 2022 presidential race. Marcos made the announcement in a Facebook video on the same day he took his oath as a member of the Partido Federal ng Pilipinas, a political party allied with the Duterte administration. PFP earlier endorsed Marcos for the 2022 presidential race last September 21, the anniversary of the declaration of martial law by his father, the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos. The younger Marcos said in August that he would seek the presidency if he could muster enough support. Marcos lost the 2016 vice presidential race to then Camarines Sur Representative Leni Robredo by 263,473 votes. He protested his defeat before the Supreme Court, which eventually ruled in Robredo's favor. The Department of Health reported 9,055 confirmed coronavirus disease cases on Friday to bring the total number of infections in the country to 2,613,070. This brought the active cases to 103,077, and of the total, 78.8% are mild, 11.4% are asymptomatic, 2.9% are severe, and 1.2% are in critical condition. The number of recoveries, on the other hand, rose to 2,471,165 after 12,134 patients recovered from the deadly disease. The death toll remained at 38,828 with no fatalities recorded. Data also show that 62% of the 15,500 ward beds in the Philippines are being utilized, while 59% of the 4,400 ward beds in the National Capital Region are in use. Tribune News on Q will be back after these reminders.
Boto mo to, Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
Magpabakuna kayo.
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
Magandang araw mga katribo! Narito na ang mga makakasama nyo tuwing umaga sa programang Gising Na. Roy Pelovelo, Comfy Manalo, Chinky Mangkukang, Vernon Velasco, Kim Sancha at Chirk Balagtas. Abangan ang programang Gising Na mula alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga sa Facebook page ng Daily Tribune.
Ilabas ng mainit na kape at samahan kami sa inyong pag-almusal, mga katribo.
Sama-sama natin alamin ang mga natatagong istorya sa mga latest na kaganapan sa loob at labas ng bansa.
Simulan ang bawat umaga with good vibes sa mga informative and recreational segments dito sa ating programa.
Maaari niyo rin ibahagi sa amin ang inyong opinion via Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now sa YouTube.
Makichika na rin sa latest showbiz happenings mga katribo.
Kaya naman, magkita-kita po tayo mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga at magsama-sama po tayo sa
Gising na!
Magpabakuna kayo.
Ayon sa World Bank, tinatayang 4.8 hanggang 12.7 milyong toneladang plastic ang sumisira sa ating karagatan taon-taon. Halos 80% nito ang nanggagaling sa Asya. Sa buong mundo, ang Pilipinas ay itinuturing na pangatlong pinakamalaking nagdudulot ng polusyon sa karagatan. Ang nakalalasong kemikal mula sa plastic ay di lamang kumukontamina sa karagatan, ngunit pati na rin sa hanging nilalanghap at lupang ginagalawan natin. Kung magpapatuloy ang kasalukuyang paggamit ng single-use plastics, sa taong 2050, mas marami na ang plastic kumpara sa mga isda na nasa ating mga karagatan. Dahil dito, mas pinaiigting ng pamahalaan ang kampanya laban sa paggamit ng single-use plastics. Nanganganib ang ating planeta. Iisa lang ito. Lahat tayo ay dapat kumilos sa lalong madaling panahon upang pangalagaan ito. Tama na ang plastikan.
Botomoto Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
In other news, President Rodrigo Duterte officially ordered the executive department officials and employees to stop attending the Senate investigation on the government's COVID-19 medical supply purchases amounting to 8 billion pesos. The order was issued through an October 4 memo signed by the Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea and was released on Tuesday. The memo argued that the Senate probe had reached a point where the participation of individuals under the executive department had greatly affected the government's ability to fulfill its mandate amid the pandemic, echoing Duterte's earlier pronouncements. Ultimately, the memo accused the Senate of overstepping its authority in its efforts to hold people accountable. State Weather Bureau Pagasa announced that all tropical cyclone wind signals have been lifted, even though Tropical Depression Lannie has maintained its strength while moving west-northwestward over the West Philippine Sea late Tuesday morning. However, Pagasa said that the enhanced easterly flow north and southwesterly flow south of Lannie may bring occasionally gusts reaching near gale to at times gale force in extreme northern Luzon, coastal and upland areas of Cordillera, mainland Cagayan Valley, Ilocos Norte, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, Bicol Region, Western Visayas, Zamboanga Peninsula, and the Bangsamoro. Based on the forecast track, Lannie is likely to exit the Philippine area of responsibility on Wednesday afternoon or evening, and it will likely remain a tropical depression on Tuesday. Pagasa said Lannie is moving west-northwestward at 25 kilometers per hour with strong winds or higher extend outwards up to 130 kilometers per hour from the center. And in business, Department of Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi has reminded oil companies to ensure local supply of the commodity amid the tight global supply in the coming months. Cusi said all firms should comply with the minimum inventory requirement under Executive Order Number 134, directing local oil suppliers and bulk companies to maintain a minimum petroleum stock to ensure adequate supply and avoid a surge in prices. Under the implementing guidelines of the executive order, oil companies and bulk suppliers shall maintain at least 15 days worth of supply of petroleum products and a minimum stock equivalent to 7 days for liquefied petroleum gas. On the other hand, refiners should secure a minimum inventory of crude oil and refined petroleum products equivalent to 30 days. That wraps up the stories tonight, and before we go, we would like to thank the SM Store, Araneta City, Department of Tourism, and Overseas Community Affairs Council member Alan Lin of the Republic of China for their continued support. Again, this is Elmer Navarro Manuel and you're watching Tribune News on Q. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. Good night, and God bless us all.
Magpabakuna kayo.
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
Magandang araw mga katribo! Narito na ang mga makakasama nyo tuwing umaga sa programang Gising Na. Roy Pelovelo, Comfy Manalo, Chinky Mangkukang, Vernon Velasco, Kim Sancha at Chirk Balagtas. Abangan ang programang Gising Na mula alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga sa Facebook page ng Daily Tribune.
Ilabas ng mainit na kape at samahan kami sa inyong pag-almusal, mga katribo.
Sama-sama natin alamin ang mga natatagong istorya sa mga latest na kaganapan sa loob at labas ng bansa.
Simulan ang bawat umaga with good vibes sa mga informative and recreational segments dito sa ating programa.
Maaari niyo rin ibahagi sa amin ang inyong opinion via Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now sa YouTube.
Makichika na rin sa latest showbiz happenings, mga katribo.
Kaya naman, magkita-kita po tayo mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga at magsama-sama po tayo sa
Gising Na!
Magpabakuna kayo.